Cadmill Earthlings! Welcome to another lore video where we deep dive into one of many magical corners of my realm. This time we are going to talk about black magic in a greater detail, and we are going to look at specializations of mages and sorceresses in dark arts. If you wish to learn about mages and sorceresses in general, magical levels, and taboo and practicing magic, check out the previous video. But without further ado, let's jump into it. Black magic has its roots in the darkest area of consciousness, which is what makes it so alluring. Contrary to popular belief, its essence is not solely about causing harm, casting curses, or enchanting others, but rather about using the energy gained through these practices for one's own benefit. A being who practices black magic does not act for the benefit of others as a white mage would, but only for themselves. However, this does not mean that there are not individuals who would go to any lengths, even stepping over corpses, to achieve their goals. Although the core of dark magic is not inherently about committing evil, it is often abused for such purposes. Even in black magic, certain laws apply, and one of the most important is the law of action and reaction. Every dark mage or witch should keep this law in mind. When you summon any form of energy, that energy will return to you, amplified, whether it's negative or positive. Those who choose the path of black magic should be mindful of the following fundamental principles. First, be aware that black magic has no boundaries, and it is often difficult to distinguish where the line between positive and negative is crossed. Be honest with yourself and avoid engaging in magical operations beyond your capabilities. Be internally strong and in balance with yourself, never acting solely out of hatred or anger. Let's look at some focus and specialization within the black magic. This is a general list, and we are gonna go over each specializations of mages and witches in a greater detail right after. Among many others, we have enhancement of physical strength and mobility, curses, hexes, enchantments and incantations, ritual attacks, hypnosis and memory manipulation, reading thoughts against someone's will, drawing energy from the moon and darkness and its subsequent use, controlling the bodies of others, controlling the minds of others, peering into and altering dreams, causing nightmares, cooperation with demons, practicing magic using blood and bones, summoning monsters and creatures, necromancy, and death magic. Now, let's look at each specializations or focus of mages and sorceresses in a greater detail. Starting with Strength Manipulator. These mages and witches primarily use magic on themselves and their weapons. They possess the ability to convert their energy into physical strength, concentrating it in specific parts of their bodies. The result is a significantly enhanced physical strength and endurance, surpassing their natural capabilities. They have no problem lifting heavy objects or smashing through walls with their fists without expending much effort. This magic is mainly used in close combat, often in combination with various weapons into which the energy can also be focused. It also serves to improve mobility and resilience. Those who study this form of magic must undergo physical training, which is essential for their bodies to withstand and the sudden high concentration of energy without causing muscle or tendon tears or another injuries. Next one is Enchanter. This type of mage or witch is often the most malicious, even devious in their dealings with others. They are skilled in crafting various spells and curses, typically with the intent to harm others. whether it's a minor inconvenience or a curse that could cost someone their life. Some use their magic casually for no reason other than their whims, while others are driven by hatred and see their actions as acts of vengeance. They often don't think about or may not even realize the consequences of their actions. However, as the law of action and reaction states, everything you send into the world returns to you, multiplied. And even if they try to ignore this law, this category of magic practitioners tends to pay the highest price for it. At higher levels, this discipline includes hypnosis or manipulations of others' memories, reshaping, locking, or even erasing them entirely. Lunar witch or mage. They are the opposites of sun witches and mages and have no fear of the dark. These mages and witches are adept at understanding the phases of the moon and its influence on magic. They draw the power from the moon and the darkness, transforming it into dark energy that they can further manipulate, shaping it, changing its form and consistency, and sending it into the space around them. With enough skill, they can even craft specific weapons from this energy and fight with them. Additionally, they can manipulate shadows and darkness, creating illusions or even hiding within them temporarily. Experienced practitioners can absorb energy from others' beings, enhancing their own power. This type of magic is the most effective at night, when the moon is visible and is significantly weakened during the day. To use lunar magic to its fullest, the practitioner must be in harmony with the moon, allowing them to tap into its energy most effectively. Another one is demonic witch or mage. Demonic witches or mages are incredibly stubborn and fully determined to pursue their goals, even if it means stepping over others. Weaker beings should keep their distance from them. Summoning demons and making deals with them is a part of their daily routine. They temporarily borrow power and abilities from these demons, seek knowledge of the darkest magic, or ask them to perform the most nefarious deeds. The influence of the demons they have worked with often lingers on them, and the corrupting force gradually weakens them. Over time, they pay the price for their dealings, as each agreement brings more corruption, which can ultimately destroy their mind or body. Both the practitioners of this magic and the demons seek power. It's classic something for something scenario. Neither party wants to lose out, and the contracts between them are always complex. In nearly every case, it ends with one side winning out, and more often than not, the demon triumph. Once a pact with a demon is made, even just once, the demon will always try to ensure that it is not the last. Before they know it, the practitioner finds themselves caught in an endless circle, inevitably falling into the demon's grasp. With no way out, they will have no choice but to submit completely. Mind controller. Individuals who practice this form of magic are capable of thoroughly confusing and manipulating others' minds. Mind control works by deceiving the senses of the target. They can manipulate them, forcing them to perceive, see, hear, feel, and experience things that do not actually exist or appear completely different from reality. Using illusions, they shape the victim's perception of reality without them even realizing it. Illusions based on fear are often the most powerful. At lower levels, this magic involves deceiving only one sense at a time. As the practitioner progresses, they learn to manipulate multiple senses simultaneously, creating a full illusion that can be perceived through all the senses. With further mastery, they can reach the ability to create real illusions, where the victim's body reacts as if the illusions are real, such as feeling pain from burns, freezing, or even internal or external injuries. However, if the illusion isn't convincing enough, or the victim becomes aware of it, they can see through it, causing the illusion to dissipate and restoring their perception of reality. These magicians primarily use their abilities to outsmart their opponents, whether in battle or in infiltration. A well-executed illusion can also be used for manipulation, causing victims to act in the user's favor. The most skilled mind controllers can briefly look into others' minds and dreams, turning them into terrifying nightmares. While creating illusions requires great imagination, practitioners of this school also undergo intense mental training. It only takes a slight misstep for the user to become trapped within an illusion of their own making. These practitioners are often physically weak and have a poor tolerance for pain. And we also have body controller. Practitioners of this type of magic focus on controlling the bodies of others, naturally against their will. They can manipulate limbs and body parts, artificially induce pain, control physical functions, or even temporarily possess another's body. For successful use of this type of magic, the victim must be first injured, marked with a symbol or seal, or be in possession of a magically enchanted object throughout the process. When manipulating the body, except for possession, which is the highest level of this type of magic, the victim remains fully aware and conscious, knowing what is happening around them. In cases of possession, the victim's consciousness is suppressed to the background, and after the process ends, they often have fragmented and confused memories. Those who dare to practice this highest form of body control must ensure their temporarily abandoned body remains safe, as they will need to return to it once the possession is over. Chaos, witches, and mages. First of all, this is not me. I might be the queen of chaos or this chaotic witch, but it means that I'm just, chaotic. It doesn't mean that I'm actually using the actual chaos, okay? Just a little note. Anyway, the methods by which chaos witches and mages perform their rituals and use magic for combat often touch on taboo practices, leading to frequent condemnation. Most of the time, they do not speak about their magical focus and keep their learned skills to themselves, passing them on only with their family or lineage. The style of using this magic slightly varies from individual to individual, but they are all united by their use of blood and bones. Blood magic. This ability allows complete manipulation of both their own blood and that of others. They can bring blood to boil or even stop the flow of blood in someone's body. They create wounds from which they draw blood to cast spells, and they can shape it into forms such as weapons, which they then can use in combat. While older practitioners claim that there is no way to use blood magic with good intentions, it is possible. One clear example being the ability to stop bleeding in themselves or others, even in life-threatening wounds. However, this group rarely use their abilities for helping others. Rather, they seek to harness supernatural power and access difficult to obtain spells. Bone magic complements blood magic. The structure of the user's bones has magical properties, allowing them to control their own bones, the bones of others, or even entire skeletons. They can cause bones to grow instantly, shape them, manipulate their weight, or create structures from them. With simple magical formulas, they can even cause fractures in another's body without touching them. Like blood, bones play a crucial role in rituals and ceremonies, and many chaos witches and mages collect both animal and creature bones for their practices. Summoner. Practitioners of this magic possess the ability to summon monsters and beasts. not only from other realms, but even from different dimensions and spheres. These summoned creatures are then used for their own benefit, particularly in combat. This is one of the most complex studies in dark magic and involves taboo practices that few can easily access. It's important to note that summoning the beast is only one aspect of this power. The real challenge lies in ensuring that the monsters obey the summoner's commands. Some beasts of higher intelligence can be bound into contracts, while others must be tamed like wild animals, or even hypnotized and manipulated using curses. However, it's never guaranteed that the creature will remain under the summoner's control forever. Monsters may eventually break free from their master's grasp and rebel against their dominion. Necromancer. Witches and mages who practice necromancy are essentially sisters to the witches of chaos. They are skilled in communicating with the dead, and the more experienced among them can temporarily revive corpses to speak with them or even control them for a brief period of time. Their rituals and practices are among the most complex, often disregarding rules and basic principles, which often returns to haunt them with a heavy price. Necromancy, like other branches of magic, has distinct levels. Beginners can only practice their abilities on those they knew during their lifetime or were close to. At an advanced level, there is a need to know certain details about the deceased person, while the highest level allows manipulation of any dead being. The level of mastery determines the duration for which they can control the body and the number of bodies they can manipulate at the same time. This field of dark magic is considered a taboo practice. One cannot freely learn it outside of closed communities or without a mentor. And last one is Deathbringer. The spell of death is one of the most remarkable and deadly spells in black magic. It is a form of magic commonly associated with dark, shadowy combat styles and symbolizes evil forces, often referred to as the dark arts. This type of magic is incredibly powerful, dangerous, and closely monitored. It is classified among forbidden practices, not to be used recklessly or for personal gain. As the name suggests, users of this magic wield powerful spells capable of causing the slow or even instant death of any living being. Learning death magic is nearly impossible. You are not born with it, and it cannot be passed down to you by anyone. It can only be learned from a book, one that has been rewritten and burned countless times. Its exact location is unknown, and the last known references are either inaccurate or intentionally false to prevent anyone from acquiring it. Even if someone gains access to this power, they must handle it with extreme caution, for they can never know when the dark forces may turn against them. This magic operates on the principle of something for something, meaning that using its spells comes with consequences, not only in life but beyond death. This leads to the eternal damnation of the soul. The last known practitioners of this magic are either dead or removed from any contact with the living. And that's all for black magic. Hopefully you learned something. Hopefully you're warned enough and you don't want to become any of these. Anyways, thank you for watching and I'll see you in the next one.